What's up, guys? It's ya boy, CyanDoragon, and do I have an epic video for you all. In this video, we're gonna be revving up our engines and hitting the racetrack to explore one of the most, if not the most beloved franchises in gaming history, Mario Kart. Whether you're a nostalgic gamer who grew up on the pixelated tracks of the Super Nintendo, or a newcomer who's experienced the latest high-speed adventures on the Nintendo Switch, Mario Kart has become a timeless pillar in the world of racing games. But have you ever wondered how this beloved series came to be? How it evolved from a humble start to a global phenomenon? Mario Kart doesn't just bring players together on the couch, but it has pioneered the multiplayer racing experience. With its fiercely competitive gameplay and the thrill of blue shells wreaking havoc on whoever's in first place, the series has become a staple at parties and a bonding experience among friends and family. So, buckle up and prepare for a ride like no other as we uncover the twists and turns of Mario Kart's history, exploring its iconic moments, game-changing innovations, and the everlasting impact it has had on the gaming landscape. Keep in mind that this video's main focus will be on the console games, both home and portable. So games such as the arcade machines and Mario Kart Tour, may be mentioned briefly, but I won't go too much in depth on those. So, like always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all upcoming pieces of content, whether it be a new video, a live stream, a YouTube short, or a community post. Now, without further ado, let's hit the track and race into the magical world of Mario Kart. The best place to start discussing the history of this iconic franchise is to talk about the man behind it all. The one, the only, Shigeru Miyamoto. Miyamoto saw great success with his character Mario and the game centered around Mario back in 1985. With this success, Miyamoto wanted to expand and create all kinds of different games using his characters, and a racing game was too good to pass up. Nintendo had seen success with racing games in the past. Their game F-Zero was a hit when it was released back in 1990. This game was one of the games that put the SNES on the map in the gaming world, along with games such as Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country, to name a few. As great as F-Zero was at the time, with elaborate courses, high speeds, and a learning curve which allowed players to get better at the game over time, there was one issue with it. You could only play it in single player. Miyamoto wanted to use the elements of F-Zero and add a multiplayer mode to it, along with his characters. The multiplayer aspect became the main part of the game's design and creation. By using a horizontal split screen, players could see the same course with the clarity and visual prowess of the single-player mode in F-Zero. But of course, seeing that this is the SNES we're talking about, graphics weren't going to be the powerhouse, meaning courses in Mario Kart wouldn't be as complex as F-Zero, since two players would be racing on a rendered map at the same time. When I said earlier that Miyamoto wanted to use his characters in a new racing game, that wasn't 100% accurate. You see, when Mario Kart was first being developed, it wasn't immediately seen as a Mario title. In the beginning, the game only featured a generic-looking man in overalls, which is kinda ironic because that's the description of Mario himself. Maybe this generic man was Mario's dad? Who's to say? However, about 3 months into development, Mario found his way into the game. You see, the developers were met with a problem. Driving by other racers in the game posed a visual and graphical issue as to what zooming past other racers would look like. As a piece of reference, the art team included Mario in a go-kart, and soon enough, the idea of a Mario-themed racing game was full speed ahead. After months and months of development, refining, coding, all-nighters, and caffeine overdoses like no tomorrow, it was finally ready. Super Mario Kart was released for the SNES on August 27, 1992 in Japan, and September 1, 1992 in North America, to very favorable reviews. Much of the praise given to the game stemmed from its bright and colorful graphics, fun gameplay involving the game's item mechanic, intuitive controls, and, of course, Mario. Shay Stevens, a reviewer who did a report on Super Mario Kart for Electronic Games, gave it a 93% score, saying that the game, quote, has a fast-paced feel and plenty of in-depth play, as well as saying that it was, quote, something worthwhile to add to a collection, whether you're a fan of driving titles or Mario. Overall, Super Mario Kart performed very well in the gaming market at the time, selling 8.76 million copies worldwide as of December 31st, 2009, making it the 4th best-selling game on the SNES. Super Mario Kart has 8 playable characters to choose from: Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, or Princess Toadstool if you want to be technical, Yoshi, Bowser, or King Koopa, Donkey Kong Jr., not Donkey Kong, Koopa Troopa, and Toad. Each of these characters have a special item that they could use to attack other racers. For example, Donkey Kong Jr. has the ability to throw bananas. Typical. Items have been essential in Mario Kart from the very beginning. And if I had to throw in my 2 cents here, I think the developers made the right choice adding items into the game. If it wasn't for the items, I don't think I would play the game as much as I do. Even though the main focus on developing the game was the multiplayer aspect, there is a single-player mode to it as well, with the Grand Prix and Time Trial game modes. There are 20 tracks in the game total, as well as 4 battle mode maps, allowing for uniqueness and diversity. Although some people may say it has aged poorly in the 30+ years since it was first released, Super Mario Kart gave rise to one of the most popular Nintendo series on the planet. And, as they say, once you hit success, the only direction left to go is up. As the 1990s progressed, gaming as a whole began to change. Developers started playing around with using more and more 3D designs to their games, allowing for better-looking graphics and higher processing power, and Nintendo was no different. They wanted to get in on the 3D gaming scene, and so, in 1996, they did just that, with the Nintendo 64. And seeing that Super Mario Kart was so successful, Nintendo knew that a 3D Mario Kart would absolutely knock the socks off of critics and everyday gamers alike. So, they got to work. Work began a year earlier in 1995 with the working title Super Mario Kart R, where the R means rendered. It was meant to be released alongside the other launch titles for the N64, that being Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. But more time was put into those games, and with the way Nintendo is with perfection, it was pushed back. The move from 16-bit graphics to 3D took a lot of trial and error, but it paid off. The game was released on December 14th, 1996 in Japan, and February 10th, 1997 in North America. Why was there a 2-month gap between Japan's release and the American release? I don't know. It received generally positive reviews, but there were splits among critics on some aspects. For example, some critics believed that the power of the N64 made the game stand out from other racing games. Others, however, said that the graphics lacked detail. Jonathan Nash, a reviewer from N64 magazine, felt that success in the game was too dependent on getting the right power-ups. Critics also felt that the game's use of rubber band difficulty balancing. Who wrote this script? Recognizing that it gave the AI racers an unfair advantage, making it harder for real people to win races. Overall though, this game sold 9.87 million copies worldwide, making it the 2nd best-selling game on the N64, second only to, of course, Super Mario 64. Just like its predecessor, Mario Kart 64 has 8 characters, with the same roster, only instead of Koopa Troopa and Donkey Kong Jr., Wario and Donkey Kong were added. However, during development, Kamek was proposed to be a character, but he was dropped. Why? Who really knows for sure? Maybe the developers didn't think Kamek would be a right fit. Who knows? It also introduced new tracks to the game, as well as adding Versus mode. Grand Prix races were now playable in multiplayer mode alongside single player mode as well. The soundtrack is also noted as being particularly great, and it was created by Kenta Nagata, who would go on to make soundtracks for other games in the future, such as the ones that are on screen right now. This game is often regarded as a fan favorite among die-hard Mario Kart and Nintendo fans everywhere. Next in line is Mario Kart on the Virtual Boy. Maybe we shouldn't discuss this one and just leave it out. I mean, it wasn't released either way, but still, we don't want any failures here. We only want successes. So we're just gonna brush that one aside and move on to the next big game in the series. Why am I talking like this? I don't know. As the 2000s came along, the next big thing in gaming was taking front stage. Handheld gaming. Nintendo did dip their toes into handhelds prior to the 2000s with their line of Game & Watch systems and Game Boy systems in the 1980s and 90s respectively. But the 2000s was what I would like to call the handheld era. This is the time that gave us the Game Boy Advance, the DS, the DSi, and the 3DS, among others. But this segment of the video is dedicated to the Mario Kart that was released for the Game Boy Advance, Mario Kart Super Circuit. This version of Mario Kart was released on July 21st, 2001 in Japan, and August 27th, 2001 in North America. And I'm sorry, but I have to say this. This is probably the worst one on the list so far. Did we go back in time or something? Because what in God's name are these graphics? This looks like the graphics of Super Mario Kart. Either that or a Mario Kart game on a Nintendo licensed potato. One or the other. The game uses a similar pseudo 3D engine as Super Mario Kart, as well as the same control scheme. But the character roster from Mario Kart 64 appears, as well as several different items from the previous entry. This entry in the series has 5 cups, and each of these cups has 4 brand new race courses. That's right, all of the tracks in this game never appeared in a previous entry. Except for Bowser's Castle, but we'll just glance over that. It's most likely a different version of Bowser's Castle anyway. Some of these courses include Riverside Park, Cheese Land, Sky Garden, and Broken Pier. The game also introduces 4 new battle courses, and they aren't creatively named. Just look at these on screen. Like, they couldn't come up with any less creative names if they tried. These are the same names as the battle courses in Super Mario Kart. Where's the creativity, bruh? When the game released, it received critical acclaim. Somehow. It scored an average of 93 out of 100 based off of 24 reviews given on Metacritic. Craig Harris, a reviewer from IGN, gave the game a 9.5 out of 10, saying that it is, quote, a perfect example of how a little extra development time can do a Game Boy Advance title wonders. As of March 31st, 2009, 5.91 million copies were sold, making Mario Kart Super Circuit the 4th best-selling game on the system. Now let's get back to the home console side of things. We'll revisit the realm of handheld Mario Kart later on. For the next game, we only have to fast forward 2 years to 2003. It is during the month of November that Mario Kart Double Dash hit the gaming market. In particular, November 7th for Japan, November 14th for the EU, November 17th for North America, and November 19th for Australia. I would argue that this rendition is the most unique one so far. This game offers gameplay that is vastly different to what had been seen in the past. In this edition, standard solo racing gets tossed to the wayside, allowing for a new idea: racing with 2 characters at once. See where I got the name of this segment? Okay, maybe it was obvious. Anyway, with this new mechanic, one character focuses on driving, while the other character acts as the weapons thrower. The player also has the ability to swap characters whenever they feel like it. So for example, if Mario and Luigi were on a team, and Luigi wants to take a break from rear-ending the other racers with his items, he can tag Mario and they can switch sides. So now Mario is acting as the drive-by shooter, and Luigi is now the getaway driver. You catch what I'm saying? Plus, if that isn't epic enough, alongside the normal items, new items are introduced. But these aren't just normal items, no. These items, known as special items, are, well, special. Why? Because they are unique to one set of characters. No other characters can use these items. For example, Mario and Luigi have huge-ass fireballs, Bowser and Bowser Jr. have a large spiny shell, and Wario and Waluigi have a really big bob-omb. It's pretty cool stuff if I do say so myself. Also, Mario Kart Double Dash is one of the few games that utilized LAN, or Local Area Network mode, which allowed for races to be played with up to 16 people without the use of an internet connection or Wi-Fi. I'm not going to go in depth on what an LAN network is, but if you want to do your own research, go for it. It's a good thing Wi-Fi became a thing, because I feel like not being able to play Mario Kart online would just make the game not as fun for me. Comment down below if you feel the same way. Anyway, back to the game itself. This edition of Mario Kart is the first one that allows players to select which kart they want to play with, depending on the character combo's weight class. Double Dash also implements a new game mode to the game, Mirror Mode. This game mode does exactly what you think it does. It mirrors the track. Duh. The tracks in this game are unique to the series, just like those from the previous title, Mario Kart Super Circuit. There are 4 cups, each with 4 races, as well as an all-cup tour, where all the tracks can be played back-to-back. The tracks include Baby Park, oh Lord have mercy, Dry Desert, Mushroom Bridge, Daisy Cruiser, and Dino Jungle. And of course, this game does have Battle Mode. There are both new courses and new battle modes implemented. The new battle courses include Cookie Land, Block City, Pipe Plaza, and a big 3D model of a Nintendo GameCube. Yes, you heard me correctly. You can play battle mode on top of a virtual GameCube console. That's pretty cool, not gonna lie. On these new courses, Balloon Battle, Shine Thief, and Bob-omb Blast can be played, along with other battle modes. When it released, Double Dash received favorable reviews, getting an average score of 87 on Metacritic. Spencer McIlvaine, a reviewer from Nintendo Life, gave the game a 9 out of 10 rating, stating that, quote, Mario Kart is a staple in the Nintendo library. He goes on to say that Double Dash is, quote, a worthy successor to that tradition. Tom Bramwell from Eurogamer also gave it a 9 out of 10 rating. In his review, he said, quote, in my opinion, it's not a better game than the original Super Mario Kart, but it is the closest anyone's ever come, and one of the finest pieces of electronic entertainment ever developed. As of December 31st, 2009, Mario Kart Double Dash ranks as the number 2 most sold GameCube game, being beat by Super Smash Bros. Melee, with about 7 million total copies sold. We are returning to the realm of handheld gaming now, as the next Mario Kart game to be released was Mario Kart DS, which was released back in 2005, the year of my birth. In particular, November 14th in North America, November 17th in Australia, November 25th in the EU, and December 8th in Japan. This entry holds the title as the only mainline Mario Kart title to be released first in North America instead of Japan. Before we continue, I just want to clarify that in the same year, an arcade version of Mario Kart, known as Mario Kart Arcade GP, was released. However, this video will only focus on the home and handheld console games. Mario Kart DS differs from that of its predecessor, in that it returns to the classic racing format, with solo racers competing on a racetrack. This version is notable for being the very first Mario Kart game to allow players to play online via Nintendo's Wi-Fi connection service. As a side note, Nintendo discontinued the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection service on May 20th, 2014, so online play can no longer be accessed. This game is also the first in the series to bring in courses from past games, as well as introducing brand new tracks. However, I would call this entry the most unique game in the series due to the fact that it had a mission mode. Within mission mode, the player is tasked with completing tasks, in order to earn a ranking, similar to the rankings given in the Grand Prix game mode. There are 7 levels in total, each containing 8 missions, as well as a boss battle at the end, most of which were taken from the game Super Mario 64 DS. Some of the missions included driving through gates, using items to destroy enemies, and racing a CPU player for 1 lap, among others. As previously mentioned, there are 32 total tracks, 16 returning tracks, and 16 brand new tracks. Some of the new tracks include Desert Hills, Airship Fortress, Tick-Tock Clock, and Waluigi Pinball. Returning tracks include N64 Banshee Boardwalk, GBA Sky Garden, and GCN Baby Park. The horror! 2 new items also make an appearance, the Bullet Bill and the Blooper. Let me just say, the Blooper is one of the most frustrating items in the game. Why is it even a thing? It's more of a hindrance than anything else. I want to make a petition to get rid of the Blooper. It sucks! When the game released, it received critical acclaim, with an average score of 9.2 on GameStats, as well as an overall score of 9.5 out of 10 on IGN. Craig Harris, a reviewer from IGN, commented that it is, quote, just hard to ignore just how limited the online presentation is. But he ended the review by saying, quote, the only way to finish this review is just to say this. This is the greatest Mario Kart game ever developed, and is without a doubt the best DS game of 2005. It sold 23.60 million copies worldwide, making it the 3rd best-selling game for the Nintendo DS itself. There would be a sequel to the arcade game titled Mario Kart Arcade GP 2, which was released in 2007. However, like I said earlier, we're just gonna skim past those. Besides, the next year would produce arguably the most popular and the most memed version of the game. I think you know which game I'm referring to.
You just got coconut mauled. Share this with all your friends to totally coconut maul them.
Oh yes. We have finally made it to what many would say is the crown jewel of the Mario Kart franchise. Mario Kart Wii. Mario Kart Wii was released on April 10th, 2008 in Japan, as well as April 11th for the EU, April 24th in Australia, and April 27th in North America. This entry in the series continues with the usual game modes that Mario Kart usually has, Grand Prix, Battle, as well as online multiplayer. Because of the Wii's built-in motion controls within the controller, the game takes advantage of this ability, though the player can also play without this enabled. Players can also play the game using the wheel accessory, the remote nunchuck combo, or the GameCube controller. This is actually the first game that allowed people to use previous console controllers to play games. Mario Kart Wii has many iconic courses, as well as new, never-before-seen courses. Coconut Mall, Koopa Cape, Toad's Factory, Moonview Highway, Mushroom Gorge, I could go on and on. Some of the retro tracks that make appearances include DS Desert Hills, SNES Mario Circuit 3, DS Delfino Square, and N64 Mario Raceway. Of course, the game has Battle Mode 2, like I mentioned a little bit ago. And the Battle Mode in this game has both new courses and retro courses. Newbie battle courses include Block Plaza, Delfino Pier, and Thwomp Desert. And returning courses include GCN Cookie Land and GBA Battle Course 3. Mario Kart Wii has received high amounts of praise from both Nintendo fans and critics alike. It got an average score of 82 on Metacritic. A reviewer from the now-defunct magazine series Nintendo Power gave the game a 9 out of 10 score, saying, quote, "With more features, modes, and multiplayer options than ever before, fans should be revved up to get behind the wheel." This review came from the May 2008 issue of Nintendo Power. However, not everyone felt the same way. Chris Kohler, a reviewer from Wired, the same Wire that does those autocomplete interview videos with celebrities, gave the game a 6 out of 10 score, saying, quote, "Mario Kart Wii's battle mode is no longer a last man standing contest." What's the point of that? Clearly, this reviewer doesn't know that gaming changes through time, but I digress. This game is so popular that a fan-made mod to Mario Kart Wii that adds over 200 new tracks to the game, as well as many other extra features, was created. It's known as CTGP Revolution, or Custom Track Grand Prix Revolution. If you guys want to see a video going more in depth about this topic, let me know in the comments. The game sold a total of 37.38 million copies as of December 31st, 2020, and that doesn't include CTGP. Anyways, time for another visit to the realm of the handhelds. We have gotten to the point in the video where we talk about the last fully handheld entry in the Mario Kart series so far. Some might say the Mario Kart games on the Wii U and Switch count as handhelds, but I'm going to leave them as their own separate selves. Does that make sense? Separate selves. The next game in the series is the first one that follows the numerical sequence of games in said series. Did that even make sense? I don't even know. Grammar's hard. Anyway, this game is, of course, Mario Kart 7. It was released for the Nintendo 3DS back in December of 2011. In particular, December 1st for Japan, December 2nd for the EU, December 3rd for Australia, and December 4th for North America. This game is noted as being the first Mario Kart game to be developed by more than one developer, namely Nintendo and Retro Studios. The big new features in this entry are the hang gliding and underwater driving mechanics. This game is also noted for having a customization feature for someone's kart. This game follows the same format in terms of tracks as the previous few titles, with new tracks as well as retro tracks making a return. There are 32 tracks total, with half being new and half being throwbacks. Some of the new tracks include Toad Circuit, Woohoo Loop, Maka Woohoo. Woohoo Island really got represented in this game. I like it. Music Park, and Shy Guy Bazaar. Returning tracks include Wii Mushroom Gorge, GCN Daisy Cruiser, DS Airship Fortress, and N64 Calamari Desert. There are also new battle courses, as well as returning ones, including Honeybee Hive, Woohoo Town, and N64 Big Donut. There are also new characters that appear, such as Rob, Metal Mario, and Honey Queen from Super Mario Galaxy. For some reason. Seriously, why is Honey Queen here? Who asked for her to be brought into the Mario Kart series? Who asked? The game received relatively positive reviews, with critics praising the new gliding and underwater driving mechanics, though they often cite how similarly it feels to past Mario Kart titles. Metacritic gives the game an average score of 85, with Games Radar reviewer Justin Towell calling it, quote, "the game the 3DS has been in dire need of." Another reviewer, EGM's Mark Cameron, gave the game a 9 out of 10 score, claiming that the game, quote, "shows that the series is a long way from running its course." As of June 30th, 2022, almost 19 million copies have been sold worldwide. Between Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart 8, a third edition of the arcade game, titled Mario Kart Arcade GP DX, was released. But, of course, we aren't talking about those. I don't even know why I brought it up, so let's move swiftly on. In 2014, the 8th edition of Mario Kart was released, and it's called, of course, Mario Kart 8. In particular, it was released on May 29th for Japan, May 30th for North America and the EU, and May 31st for Australia. The prominent new addition in this game is the anti-gravity mechanic, which allows players to drive on the racetracks while defying the laws of gravity. Wow, epic! This game also added a new feature known as Mario Kart TV, which is an internet-based feature that allows players to view and share highlights of their races, as well as other people's races. These highlights could be shared on the Miiverse, as well as YouTube, though they were restricted to only sharing up to 60 seconds of footage at one time. This is also the first game in the series to include non-Nintendo characters in the game, with characters from the Animal Crossing, Legend of Zelda, and Splatoon series appearing. Players have the ability to choose their own karts, just like in the past few entries, but they can also change their wheels and their glider. There are different statistics that each combo has, depending on the kart, wheel, glider combo that is being used, as well as the character. The stats comprise of speed, acceleration, weight, handling, and grip. There are 32 tracks in the base game, 16 new and 16 retro. There was also downloadable tracks that could be unlocked by paying for 2 separate DLC packages. One included Legend of Zelda DLC, and the other included Animal Crossing DLC. Some of the new tracks that were added include Bone Dry Dunes, Swamp Ruins, Electrodrome, and Mount Wario. Returning tracks include Wii Moo Moo Meadows, N64 Royal Raceway, 3DS Music Park, and GCN Sherbertland. As for battle mode, there were no new maps implemented. Instead, some of the racetracks were converted into battle courses. There were 8 in total. They were Wii Moo Moo Meadows, GCN Dry Desert, SNES Donut Plains 3, N64 Toad's Turnpike, Mario Circuit, Toad Harbor, GCN Sherbertland, and N64 Yoshi Valley. Along with the 2 previously mentioned DLC packs, there was also one that Nintendo did with the car company Mercedes-Benz back in August of 2014, which put some of the company's vehicles into the game. These were the GLA, based off of the Mercedes-Benz GLA, the W25 Silver Arrow, based off of the W25 Silver Arrow, and the 300 SL Roadster, based off of the, you guessed it, 300 SL Roadster, as well as a set of GLA tires. Mario Kart 8 received mostly positive reviews, and it has been labeled as one of the best games in the series to date. The game has been highly thought of due to its soundtrack, graphics, tracks, and overall gameplay for both single-player and multiplayer. Thomas Whitehead, a reviewer for Nintendo Life, gave the game a 9 out of 10 rating, saying that, quote, "In years to come, the debates over the best Mario Kart games in the series will, inevitably, feature this as a contender." As of September 30th, 2021, the game has sold 8.46 million copies. We have finally arrived to the most recent entry in the series, and the game that I have the most experience with, and that is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the 9th game in the series, and like I said, the most recent console edition of the Mario Kart franchise. This game is basically an advanced version of Mario Kart 8, but with a few differences, which I will go over in a moment. It was released on April 28th, 2017, worldwide for the Nintendo Switch. It contains all the tracks from the previous title, including the 2 DLC packs. And as you all know, it has been getting new tracks throughout 2022 and this year through the Booster Course Pass. The last wave of the BCP DLC will be released in late November or early December of this year, and I'm stoked for it. There's also another Mario Kart game on the Switch called Mario Kart Home Circuit. This game allows players to create tracks by putting gates around wherever you're playing the game, whether it be your living room, bedroom, or outside for some reason. And then you control what looks like RC cars that have either Mario or Luigi on them. These cars have built-in cameras that live streams the surrounding area onto the player's Nintendo Switch. This edition was released on October 16th, 2020, right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, which was a great marketing strategy from Nintendo, at least I think so. There is one difference between Mario Kart 8 and 8 Deluxe. That difference is in regards to battle mode. They got rid of it! Just kidding. Remember how I mentioned that battle mode in Mario Kart 8 was played on racing tracks that were modified to fit the criteria? Well, in 8 Deluxe, the developers brought back the quote-unquote battle-only maps. There are 8 battle maps in the game: Battle Stadium, Sweet Sweet Kingdom, Dragon Palace, Lunar Colony, 3DS Woohoo Town, GCN Luigi's Mansion, SNES Battle Course 1, and Urchin Underpass, a Splatoon-themed map. Battle Mode has 5 game modes within the game, all of which are relatively easy to understand what goes on. Balloon Battle, popping other people's balloons and trying to keep your balloons intact. Renegade Roundup, basically cops and robbers, but with piranha plants as the cops. Bob on Blast, throwing bombs at each other, aka
Terrorism.
Coin Runners, trying to get the most coins in a certain amount of time, aka
Capitalism.
and Shine Thief, trying to hold onto a shiny gold sun thing without having it taken from you. Sorry about sidetracking here, but Shine Thief is the worst battle mode to ever exist. Like, why is the shine so buoyant, bro? Why? Why?
Why? Why? Why?
This game has received universal acclaim ever since it was first released. It has been praised for being well suited for the Switch's portability, the increased performance, and the redesigned battle mode. However, some say that the game would not be as appealing of a proposition to players who purchased the downloadable content during Mario Kart 8's lifespan. Even so, Metacritic gives the game a solid 92, with reviewer Callie Plog? I think I mispronounced that, apologies if I did. From GameSpot, giving it a 9 out of 10, saying, quote, "Even if you don't really care about battle mode, the smallest changes in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe refine an already great racing game. But the huge overhaul to the original's afterthought of a battle mode is a chaotic, varied opportunity to play very differently than in Grand Prix mode, and well worth reinvesting yourself in Mario Kart 8 on Switch." As of December 31st, 2022, the game has sold a whopping 52 million units worldwide, which is the most copies sold for any Mario Kart game ever. Even though Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is currently the most recent Mario Kart game on console, there is still one game in the series that hasn't been talked about yet: Mario Kart Tour. This edition of Mario Kart is a mobile game. Mario Kart on mobile. It sounds like an interesting idea in retrospect, but it just doesn't work. In my opinion, Mario Kart Tour is one of, if not the worst, Mario Kart games in existence. Maybe not as bad as Mario Kart on the Virtual Boy, but it's still pretty bad. I'm not going to delve into it here since this video is long enough already, but if you want to see a video about this monstrosity of a game, then let me know. Anyways, with that, let's get to the outro. From its humble 16-bit beginnings to becoming a global phenomenon that has brought joy to millions, the history of Mario Kart is a journey of innovation, fun, and unforgettable memories. As this video essay draws to a close, let us remember the exhilarating races, the iconic tracks, and the timeless characters that have sped their way into our hearts. Just like Mario and his friends, our racing adventure is far from over. So, keep those engines revving, and may your blue shells always find their targets. If you enjoyed, smash that like button, and hit the subscribe button if you're new. Also, hit that notification bell so you get notified of every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. CyanDoragon, out.